Welcome back. Well, time for some drama. And we're talking literally, actually, because we're putting the spotlight on the rise of the global short drama market. Now, what is a microdrama or a short drama? These are very, very short, bite-sized video stories which seem to be rapidly gaining attention of viewers, and they're garnering thousands and thousands of viewers. Investors are making a beeline for the segment as well. And by some estimates, the global short drama market has moved from being about a $6.5 billion market to over $7.2 billion. And of course, the numbers are still growing. This market is expected to double by 2030. Now, why are we talking about this? Because some of the Indian companies, for instance, listed Z Entertainment, decided to enter this market with a small buyout. I think the startup is called Bullet, and they have decided to partner with it. So we have Karan Taurani, Executive Vice President at Elara Capital, as well as Raj Nayak, Founder and Managing Director at House of Cheer Networks, to help us make sense of this. Gentlemen, I'll start with an admission. I have never seen a micro drama. The reason I started looking at it is once we heard that Z is getting into the segment. So let's start with the broad thought here. Karan, I mean, is this a passing fad we're talking about, or is this becoming serious business?
Hi, Sylvie. Good morning. I think if you look at the content creation ecosystem, we have always seen innovation in some or the other manner historically in the last 20 years. We started off with social media. We went on to YouTube, then we went on to Reels, which was by social media, then OTT content, web series content, binge watch, and now we are to this kind of content which is microdrama. So I think it's much needed. Innovation on content is a good thing, and it's much needed. Second thing is that you have to look at the audience base. I think India as a market is quite favorable. We have got more than 400 million Gen Z users. Now, this user base demographic basically is open to trying out new things. And if you look at the acceptance, I think currently there is some bit of acceptance for the global microdramas today in a market like India, in the urban markets. How this scales up in terms of the non-metro markets, how the consumer base grows, that's something to be watched out for. But definitely innovation is needed, and Gen Z is willing to try this kind of thing.
No, absolutely. I mean, no denying that. There's no disagreement on that at all. But do you have any early numbers, Karan, in terms of how big is the size? I mean, if you look at overall OTT market in India, I don't know, I mean, microdrama would be what, 1% of it, 2-3%? Do you see it gaining serious potential?
Yes, so I think if you look at the India OTT market, we are SWOT market and AWOT market put together. We're at about $3 to $3.5 billion. And a large portion of this market is dominated by YouTube. YouTube has been the major aggregator. Now, the problem here is that if you look at these OTT platforms, by broadcast OTT platforms, like, for example, Hotstar, the likes of Z5, the likes of Sony Live, these have been very small in terms of revenue contribution. They haven't been able to scale up beyond a point. And the problem for this is because large part of their consumption in the OTT platform would come from catch-up TV content. So it's need of the hour to innovate for this kind of content. Obviously, in terms of numbers, I won't have numbers in terms of how big this microdrama market would be because very small as of now. But yes, definitely, if these guys are able to execute well in terms of quality of content, if there is acceptance from the consumers, they can give a tough fight to someone like YouTube as well.
Okay, all right, got that, Karan. Well, let's get Raj into the discussion as well. Hi, Raj, it's been a while since we spoke. I enjoyed your review you put out on Sitare Zameen Par over the weekend. So that was pretty good. I backed that as well. But that discussion for another time. You've seen everything, right? From the traditional daily programming to the rise of OTT. Will microdramas disrupt or coexist with the long-form OTT content in India? What are your thoughts?
I think it will coexist. I mean, disruption, everybody said when TV came and OTT came, TV is going to die. When radio came, people sang the same song. But the fact is, I think it will coexist. But what is important now is, just look at yourself. The amount of time you spend on your phone, right, is more than what you spend on television. People are consuming news on their phone today. And TikTok or Instagram is a great example of the number of hours people spend on scrolling for content. So microdramas, in a way, if it's done well, like some of the companies in China have done very well, as long as every minute or 2 minutes, whatever the content is, as long as there's a cliffhanger at the end of every episode, and it's seen more as a viral video rather than just a X episode, I think it can go on, and I think it will catch on because I look at people in Bombay sitting on trains. They will just keep consuming content, and content consumption is going to happen. We are a country with, I think Karan just gave some numbers, Gen Z itself is about 200 plus million or whatever it is, and there are more than 900 million handphones in this country. So I think it is here. It will grow. It's like in the FMCG business, what came as sachet. People started selling sachet shampoos. I think that's a similar kind of concept here. And monetization will be easier, in my opinion. It will be faster because you can price it as low as, say, 25 paise per episode, that kind of a thing. The payment gateway is going to be a challenge. As long as they fix that, I think content generation is not going to be such a big problem because most of the content it's a challenge in a way, but most of the content that's done at the moment, even in China, is based on AI. Okay, but but that over a period of time won't give you original content. That's a challenge that we will have. But if you can fix that, if you can address that, I think it's a huge market, very big market.
Wow, and we've come such a long way. Imagine the average time duration of a song in a Hindi movie would be, what, at least 2-3 minutes? From that time, we've come to this discussion of microdrama. So content is really changing. But gentlemen, let me ask you again, just to press that point on monetization, if we have any kind of proven track record or even some instances that we can draw from globally, whether this format is working business-wise in terms of generating slightly meaningful revenue. Raj, any ideas here?
I don't have exact numbers, but what I know is, look at it this way, right? When we did advertising, in a 30-second commercial, you told a story. Now visualize in a 2-minute, you'll be able to tell a much better story. That's the way to look at it. And monetization, I think, will happen. It's easier to monetize only because your ticket price can be so small because your content creation is going to be extremely cheap because you're not going to do 5 or 10 episodes. You're going to do 100, 200 or 300 episodes. All you need is a one set and good story with a good plot. And every day you can shoot in a matter of 15 days, you can shoot all the 100 episodes and that's it. And then you just keep releasing them every day.
Interesting, Raj. So you have answered a few of our queries there. They can coexist, could be monetized, and pricing is going to be interesting as well. And we have a big Gen Z population as well. But before we wind down in the conversation, Karan, let me come across to you. How do you think platforms might approach monetization? What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to be ad-driven, subscription-based, or do you think it'll be via branded content?
I think for a market like India, we will initially move the AWOD way, for this kind of content. We have clearly seen in the past as well, the way YouTube has scaled up. They obviously are large because of the AWOD. If you look at the content which is behind the paywall, is largely the premium nature of content. Now, this kind of content, probably is very low cost in nature. That's the good part. ROI in this content could be extremely attractive. So I think initial inroads will be via AWOD. Globally, there are more concepts and more models where this content is also seen as scale in terms of SWOT basis. Last but not the least, I think all these platforms need to get a very good technology over here because a lot of your monetization through advertising will happen via AI. So they need to have a really sound technology-based system to really monetize this kind of content and build upon that.
Just clarifying, this medium has its own language. When you say AWOD and SWOD, it's basically an advertising-based model versus a subscription-based model, right, Karan?
Yes, absolutely. So initially, the scale will happen on advertising-based model.
On the advertising side. Got that. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting subject. And I think we'll probably have more conversations in this as the market evolves. So thanks very much for those interesting thoughts.